All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. We're starting to wrap up our baseball coverage. If y'all have been, listening to the show for the last year plus, y'all know that we are big baseball fans here at Ole Miss After Dark. And we had Will Furnace on a few months ago during football season to talk about the upcoming year. Luke Hill just last week, and now we're joined by Rebel pitcher Hudson Calhoun coming into his second year in Oxford after a absolutely dominant performance up in the Northwoods League this past summer, a real breakout candidate leading into this 2025 season for the Ole Miss Rebels. Hudson, appreciate you joining me, bud. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor, and I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Look, before we get into baseball, one thing I want to touch on, I don't think a lot of fans know you're actually a second generation Ole Miss athlete, right? Your mom played golf at Ole Miss, so I have that right?
That's true. That's true. I mean, she loves, say it every now and then. But yeah, she was an incredible golfer here, and I'm trying to get, some tips from her because I'm trying to learn a golf game now that I gave up hitting. But yeah, she played
Yeah.
golf. She's pretty good too.
Yeah. Was she pretty locked in back in 21 when they won the national title?
Locked in. I think she shed a couple tears. I remember seeing her. I was in Tupelo with her,
Yeah.
and I think she shed a couple tears for that.
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend to be the biggest women's golf fan or anything, but even I came home from work and found that stream and put it on the TV to watch that team win the national title that year. That was a pretty cool deal and obviously a huge accomplishment. I'm sure your mom was proud to see the program that she played for finally get over the hump and be able to raise that trophy there. So I'm sure that was a cool moment for her.
Oh yeah, yes sir, it was.
Yeah. So, look, you're a Tupelo native. I'm a Tupelo native. Love seeing Tupelo guys on the team. Got Elliott, got Morris, right? But you played your ball up in Chattanooga. Just kind of what was that like going through that process? And kind of, obviously you had the connection with your mom playing here, but how did it kind of come together in the recruiting process with you ending up in Oxford?
Yeah, so I moved up to Chattanooga and I met a bunch of great people. When I moved up there, I did not think I was going to play college baseball, but I met this guy named Grayson Smith, and he brought me to this organization called the Scorpions. And then ever since then, my life changed. Like I met Heath Phillips, who started connecting me with like the recruiting process, and it started out at small schools because I was only a shortstop. I didn't pitch. And then
Mm-hmm.
sophomore summer, I moved down to Florida with the like Orlando team and met Jerry Kennedy and Sal, and they were huge. And I started pitching, and that's when just it blew up in my recruiting process. My sophomore year summer, started talking to all these schools, and I didn't know if I wanted to play shortstop or pitch or do both. And then Ole Miss was always my dream school, just because my mom went here, and I grew up an Ole Miss fan. So right when they offered me, I kind of took a little time, but I knew it was always the place for me. So.
And look, if you're either a pitcher or a shortstop, there's no place better than Oxford, Mississippi, playing for Coach Mike Bianco. He's got guys all throughout the major leagues that play short and pitch. Obviously, right? That's kind of the calling card of this program. It has been for over 20 years now, ever since he's taken over. Uh, didn't see a whole lot of action last year as a true freshman, right? Just a few appearances. Really liked what we saw though when you did get in there. I'm sure our listeners, all 15 or so of them, got pretty tired of hearing me and Hitch talk about. Look, man, we got to see a little bit more of Hudson Calhoun, right? He comes in for just a few batters. Stuff looks electric. Let's get him a little more time. And sure enough, you go up to the Northwoods League this summer, and you put on an absolute show up there, right? With the Kenosha Kingfish, I believe it was, if I've got that right. And what was it, 26 innings to start the summer without a run? Is that what it was?
It was something up there. I mean, I tried not to focus on it. I just wanted to win the games, keep pitching well. So I tried not to focus on it.
Yeah. Well, you had one hell of a run up there. You started 6 games, went 4-1, 31 in a third innings, only 18 hits, 32 to 11 strikeout to walk ratio, 2 earned runs all summer, .57 ERA, .93 WHIP, and a 170 batting average against. You had guys all up in their heads from the time you stepped on the mound until they finally pulled you out there. Just kind of what was that experience like, and what was it like kind of being dialed into that level? Like that's got to feel good knowing every time you take the mound that you're about to shove it.
Yeah, I mean, Kenosha was the best. I loved Kenosha, and I got really lucky going up there with summer ball to be blessed with some really good coaches. Wershing and Sean O'Hagan. Sean, he was our pitching coach. He knew like exactly what he was doing. He helped me learn a little more about like pitch tunneling, which ended up leading to a lot of my success. I give a lot to him. But I mean, the weather was nice. I felt at home, even though it was kind of like a home away from home. And the atmosphere there was crazy. I was not expecting that. I think we averaged around like 4,000 fans a game, and it just made it fun. I think that's what ended up pitching so well. Like some people get a bad rap because of the travel, and the Northwoods can make it seem like kind of bad, but I thought it was amazing, and I was just having fun. So I think that's what led to a lot of the success.
Yeah, I'd read an article that this past summer about your performance up there. You were like 22 innings into your summer or something like that, but it was from D1 baseball, and those guys obviously do an incredible job covering the sport, right? With Kendall and Aaron Fitt and those guys, they have for a long time, always done really well. And they'd written an article about you because you were off to such a hot start. And they said the same thing that you just said. A lot of your success came from how consistent you were in your delivery, the tunneling of pitches, just really keeping hitters off balance because they didn't know what was coming because you never tipped your hand one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just repeating the delivery is such a big thing. And what Mangrum stresses too is just you have to repeat the same guy you are every day. And
Mhm.
I was just trying to be smooth and keep a good rhythm throughout the whole game. And I think that's what helped me out a lot because I went down to Cressy right before I went up there, and we just realized that like I was putting a lot of my effort way too quickly into my delivery. So we just made it like playing on runway. Like that was how we kind of thought of the wind up clicked with me, and it led to a lot of success.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing that I took away from that article that they wrote was you had mentioned that, they would cap you around 85 pitches, something like that. Obviously, they're not trying to wear anybody out in the summer league. But you talked about how you stayed in constant contact with Laugh throughout the summer, right? Especially after you would pitch and stuff like that. I found that really interesting. Like, what would those kind of conversations uh, go like with Lafferty when you would talk to him after you pitched? Was he just kind of checking in on you, seeing how you felt, or just seeing how the game went, or how did that go?
Yeah, so I would call him after every outing. It was usually the day after because our games are kind of late. They would be played at 7, and I would just call him. We would go over the outing. He'd ask how I felt, like what was I thinking mentally, like just basically how was I attacking hitters, and it just kind of got monotonous just because it was the same thing. I was like I felt in rhythm, I felt good, I felt in a really good flow, and then my conversations with Mangrum starting because he got hired. And I
Yeah.
mean, those were great. Like I could tell right away, like, wow, this guy like knows his baseball just because I know he's never met me. He's known nothing about me, and we were just clicking
Mhm.
right away. So
Yeah, yeah, that was actually going to be my next question because I wasn't sure if there was any crossover with when Mangrum getting hired and you being up there and whatnot, but I was interested of kind of what that initial impression was with you of Mangrum because he has this this great reputation with pitchers, young pitchers in particular. I know I say it a lot on here, but you've got the connections with Doug Nikhazy and Dylan DeLucia in Cleveland, with him being the minor league pitching coordinator there. And not just those two, but you see all of the young arms come up through that organization and have so much success. It's a guy that obviously really knows what he's doing. Just kind of what was it like meeting him for the first time and kind of what has he been working with you on?
yeah, his phone call. I think I talked to him maybe twice or 3 times before I came home because I was gonna try and stay up there for a little bit because I was having fun,
Yeah, I
and
bet you are.
he was just like, "You got to come home. Like we got to start working with you right now." I was like, "All right, like if that's what you want me to do, like let's do it." Like he wouldn't let me go to the Northwoods All-Star game. He made me miss out on that, but I mean, it was totally worth it just to get back here
Yeah.
down in Oxford and start working. And right when I got back to Oxford and met him, I was like, man, he's hopefully, I mean, he's going to change my life.
Yeah, yeah, and that's seems to be the theme of really anybody I talk to around the baseball program when it comes to Mangrum, with the effect he's had on pitchers so far this year. The one thing I noticed, me and Luke Hill talked about it last week, is it looks like velocity is up across the board basically with all of you guys, and that's something that Furnace actually pointed out a couple of months ago when he joined the show. Was that was one of the big emphasis that Mangrum had on this pitching staff. Have you been able to add a couple miles per hour or anything to yours so far?
Yeah, what helped me is like I haven't really necessarily like added like to my top, but my average fastball is just shot through the roof, and my range is not big anymore. And he really helped me with my pitch stuff. So he helped me get a ton of vertical break on my fastball and locate it a little bit better. And that's what's really helped me versus like the velo. But the velo has been so important for everybody because it just makes everything better. No matter what the pitch is, if it doesn't move a lot, velo makes just everything better.
Yeah, yeah, and your pitch mix is really interesting because you're a four pitch guy, but I think you would live on that sinker, right? Given the choice. I mean, that thing, you've got the arm side run to it. It's in the low 90s, gets up to about 92, 93. That's another thing that they talked about at D1 that makes your repertoire so special is you have that sinking fastball with the arm side run. And while they don't see a lot of changeups out of you, would you say that the sinker is probably the reason for it? Because a lot of times you see right-handers use change-ups to get that run away from the left-hander's barrel, right, to try to get it, out of their reach. And kind of like you, Riley Maddox is another really good example because, I mean, he's got one of the best sinkers I've seen come through Oxford in a really long time. Kind of the same thing. If you can get that thing going away from a lefty down and still have the 92, 93 to go with it, that's something that has the potential to be a really special pitch.
Yeah, the sinker is taking a little bit of a step back though, just because I know I use it. Oh, I didn't use my changeup a ton, and just because ads face able to a lot of success. But here, SEC of course it's a little bit better, and it's metal bats. So the changeup's more effective now. Sinker is kind of taking it back, and the four seam has gone way up in production.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was another one they pointed out was the way your four seamer explodes out of your hands this past summer as well. I think they clocked you up there at like 94, 95, something like that. They had really good things to say about that slider too. It's a big sweeping slider, right? And again, that's kind of reminds me a lot of Riley Maddox because you didn't see a whole lot of it when he did go up there and pitch. But boy, when he had that sucker in his back pocket, he was able to use it. That's how he was able to eat up so many innings. He was able to stay in the strike zone and get contact and let your defense help you out a little bit. Kind of how do you view yourself from a pitching standpoint, not particularly either starter, bullpen? I know obviously you will be going for a starter job. That's going to be your goal here, obviously. But like, are you up there trying to overpower hitters, or you just want to stay in the zone and let your defense work behind you? And if you get the swings and misses as a result of that, then so be it.
I'm just trying to attack the zone. If I could throw every pitch down the middle, I would. As weird as that sounds, like I think baseball is a game of odds, and the odds are kind of always in the pitcher's favor in the sense of most of the time when you hit it, like it's going to be a fly out or ground out. So as much as I can get in the zone, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's the thing about baseball, and I tell people all the time, like, Hall of Fame hitters fail 70% of the time, right? So, I mean, like you said, odds are in your favor. Even if you do make contact with it, you're not going to do just a whole lot of damage because the best of the best only do damage 30% of the time. So that's a good mindset to have there. Kind of what are you looking at here in year two, right? It's your sophomore year. You've got a year under your belt. The big summer, like we talked about, and now you've got this big time pitching coach coming in, and all of these pitchers. Excuse me, sorry about that. All of these pitchers, a lot of depth. And what are you looking for in year two?
I mean, it's just to go out there and make a statement. And I mean, the biggest thing for me is just try to win games. You want to get back to the postseason. Like, I think that's like where the fun in baseball comes when you win. But of course, it's just for myself, it's just to make a statement, go out there, win a lot of innings, win a lot of at bats, and pitch pretty well.
Yeah, and you're going to start out in Arlington. 3 really good teams up there, all top 25 teams. And then we get to play in the SEC, and we know what that looks like too, right? How excited are you about getting to face the best talent in the entire country for an entire year?
I mean, that's every kid's dream, especially in front of all these great fans. Like, you want to go against the best to prove yourself. So I'm really looking forward to it. I just want to attack these hitters and beat them.
Yeah. So we kind of touched on a little bit earlier. There's a lot of depth on this pitching staff. Not only a lot of depth, but a lot of experience, right? With Elliott, Riley, excuse me, sorry about that. Connor Spencer's pitched a lot, obviously. Mason Nichols has pitched, a lot for us the last 3 years. Do you kind of go to them and kind of pick their brains on stuff you can do, what it's like, and kind of use their experience to kind of help develop yourself and make yourself better?
Oh, absolutely. Funny story about this summer and Riley Maddox. I would text him a ton because I was trying to learn his sweeper. I was trying to make it just like his. But yeah, and what Lapp did a great job getting in, especially because like Connor Spencer, Mason Nichols, and all those guys are great to learn from. But he brought in guys like Alex Caney and Will McCausland too to help out experience into their belt. So I mean, yeah, I'm surrounded by mass also helped me out a ton.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this pitching staff. It's what I'm really excited about, obviously. I'm a big pitching guy. That's what I always watch year in and year out. And this is going to be a really fun staff to see. Before we get out of here, though, kind of what are your personal expectations for this year, though? Obviously, I know you want the team to win. You want to win as many games as possible. But are you looking to start, or like is that your main goal, is to try to lock up one of those starting roles and really be a staple in this rotation?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, I feel like it's every guy's dream on the pitching staff, maybe besides Connor Spencer, who's our closer to start. Of course, like that's the goal. But in reality, I mean, bullpen starter, wherever I'm gonna be happy. I just want to, pitch and go win games and pitch in meaningful spots. I feel like that's the biggest thing, and just be there for my team. Be that guy steps up this year in a year two breakout season, growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one thing people is going to hear a lot from our show when we start talking about baseball is, and I actually told Luke Hill this last week, I think best case scenario for this pitching staff is that you're able to carry over that summer performance into this sophomore season of yours and lock down, one of those three rotation spots on the weekend. If we could have you, Elliott, and Riley, and be able to get Mason Nichols back in that bullpen to be the do everything guy to come out of the pen before you get to Connor Spencer. This pitching staff has a chance to be really, really special. So people are going to hear us talk a lot about you and Mason and all of these arms coming up as we get closer to the start of the season. And Hudson, I really appreciate you joining me here today. It was a lot of fun getting to know you and your expectations going forward into this year. And we can't wait to see how it plays out. Best of luck when we get to Arlington, and I have no doubt you're going to have a lot of luck in your sophomore year.
Thank you. It's an honor. It's been fun coming on here. It's fun talking to you. And, man, am I pumped for the season. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it is, man. I appreciate it. And we'll see y'all here in about a month. It's about a month away from the season now. So won't be waiting too long before we get to see how everything shakes up. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks again, buddy, and howdy toddy.
Yes, sir. Howdy toddy.